Hey guys, what's up? So, I like how one of my New Year's resolutions was to make more content, and it's almost been a week. But hey, if you're failing on your New Year's resolution so far, there's still hope. We're only 5 days in. But I want to touch on a topic that I touched on, I think a couple weeks ago now. Specifically about, it was a reaction video to this Redefining channel. So it's these two women who have this like Christian kind of channel. It's geared towards like Christian women.
Hey guys, it's Bethany and Kristen from Redefining Ministries, and today we are going to be talking about why I saved my first kiss for marriage.
And I think, you know, I would like to kind of focus in a little bit on what makes me so passionate about the topic, or so kind of like riled up and slightly enraged. Some people took it as me, you know, projecting or being bitter or biased or whatever, and like those are all probably very true, but this is one topic that I'm okay with being bitter about. I feel like there's still so much about the church that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, and I feel like if you are someone who has also grown up in the church and are, you know what, it's its unique kind of trauma, and I feel like I'm still working through that. Making videos about it is like therapeutic in one step to heal from things like that. So if I come off a bit bitter or passionate or something like that, it's probably because I'm still currently working through all of the harmful shit it did to me. So on to the point. So this video that I talked about, it was about waiting for marriage, and I talked about why not to wait for marriage. But to kind of zero in on what I truly want to emphasize is that if you want to wait for marriage for your own personal well-being or your own personal reasons, that's totally fine. Like, we live in a free world. Wait for marriage, that's your personal choice. You're not harming anyone. The thing that gets to me most is when people, specifically women that grow up in like the evangelical church, is that they emphasize purity. And purity culture, I feel like, is incredibly harmful. It's something that I grew up being taught. You know, I took so many purity pledges to save myself for marriage at simple basketball camps. So it's like, no matter where I went, it was being preached. It was, you know, church, school, basketball camps, like it was everywhere. When it is that ingrained in you, you know, this sense of purity or shame around any sort of sexual thing doesn't just go away as soon as you like get married. If you do not know my past, I'm a transgender man. I got married when I was 21 because, you know, I thought it was my only option, you know, to be, you know, as a Christ follower, as someone who loved Jesus and thought that that is what I had to do in order to follow what God had in store for me. A lot of people say that my, you know, my journey or my story, it's hard to really touch on the topic because of the fact that, oh, I was trans. Like, my shame with having sex was probably different. No wonder it didn't work out. No wonder you didn't enjoy having sex with a man and stuff like that. But the thing is that I spent at least 27 years of my life, you know, presenting as female. And I spent from like kindergarten through high school being taught the purity culture, you know, growing up in the church as a female. And, you know, they preach to you not only that you're damaged goods if you don't save yourself for marriage, but they also teach you that it's your responsibility for the men not to stumble. So you have, you know, you're taught that you're supposed to dress modestly.
Hey y'all, we are so excited to bring you today some modest fall outfit ideas! Oh yeah!
You're taught that, you know, what's your future husband gonna think if he finds out that you didn't save yourself for him? Then you're just damaged goods. And it also forces this sense of getting married young. It can cause sexual dysfunction in women. There's, studies that have showed that. And I think ultimately, whatever, even if it's just purity culture or any sort of sin and shame and guilt, is so hard to get over if you've grown up in the church in the same way that I have. Shame around being trans, shame around sex, like these are still things that are very prevalent in my life still. Although it's been some years since I've even stepped foot in a church, you can't just undo all those years of, Christian school, church, all that stuff. Having that being said, of course, I believe that you can be trans and Christian, you can be gay and Christian. I don't think, I'm not anti-Christian, I'm not really anti-anything. That's wrong. I'm anti-purity culture. Just because I'm not for something like that is damaging. Wait if you want, that's what I would say. But don't do it because people tell you that it's the only way that you're getting into heaven, or that is because it's a sin or whatever. If you're gonna have sex, be safe, be respectful. That's basically, if you feel like you're gonna regret it, don't do it. Another thing that I'd have to clarify is, in my other video, I said that no one goes to their deathbed regretting sleeping with or not saving themselves for marriage. And I'm not saying that no one regrets sleeping with someone previously. I'm just saying that if you go to your deathbed and the only thing you can think of regretting is not saving yourself for marriage, you might want to rethink how you lived your life. You were not living if that's your only regret. You either did something really right or something really wrong. But I don't know of any cases of anyone being on their deathbed wishing that they would have waited for marriage. So maybe live a little bit more life. Really think of the reasons why you might think about saving yourself. Maybe it's just a personal choice and you find it very sweet and endearing. But this is a topic that I will probably touch on more. I remember being in school and we had, every Wednesday we had chapel. And, some chapels, it was probably about once a year we'd have a boys chapel and a girls chapel, and we'd have all the female teachers, talk to women about being modest and saving yourself for marriage and how important that was, and purity rings and all these things. And it's just I don't stand for that. I do not, especially when it's so emphasized as the responsibility of the women. So yeah, I've talked enough on this, and I don't know if I really was able to get my point across as well as I was hoping, but I was procrastinating this, so my New Year's resolution was to stop doing that with things that I found important. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm doing a cooking class tonight at 6 p.m. So if you can make it, I will see you there. And peace out. I will see you next time.